Picture a quiet pond at first light, the surface completely covered in a thin layer of green, so tiny you'd barely notice it unless you were looking closely. Now fast forward 48 hours. That green has doubled. Every microscopic speck has split into two. Another 48 hours, it doubles again, and again, and again. This isn't algae. This isn't pond scum. This is the fastest growing complete protein source ever measured on Earth, packing more protein than beef, containing all 9 essential amino acids, and even producing real vitamin B12, something almost no plant can do. NASA already uses it in research for feeding astronauts on Mars. Yet for 60 years, the $200 billion chemical fertilizer empire made sure almost nobody in the West ever heard its name. Meet Wolffia globosa, the microscopic water egg they quietly buried because it grows without soil, without seeds, without chemicals, and completely outside their control. In 2018, scientists at Ben Gurion University in Israel ran a tightly controlled human trial that turned heads. They took 36 healthy men and gave each the same 30 grams of protein from 3 different sources: soft cheese, green peas, and a tiny aquatic plant most had never seen before. For the next 3 hours, they drew blood samples every 60 minutes. The results were unmistakable. The plant beat the cheese. Essential amino acid levels in the blood rose higher and faster. Vitamin B12 spiked more than from either the animal or legume option. Digestibility came in at 89%, matching the best animal proteins. And the plant they tested? It's smaller than a grain of sand. Wolffia globosa, known in Thailand as kainam or water eggs, and often dismissed in the West as plain duckweed. This microscopic green oval has no roots, no true leaves, just a floating body that buds off perfect copies of itself every 29 to 48 hours. Dry it out, and up to 45% of its weight is pure protein, higher than soybeans at 36%, quinoa at 14%, even beef at 26%. But unlike most plant proteins, this one isn't missing key pieces. It delivers all 9 essential amino acids in ratios that meet World Health Organization standards, earning a protein quality score of 89 out of 100, right up there with eggs and milk. And that's before we get to the part that breaks every rule in the biology textbook. But the real jaw-dropper came in 2020 when the same Ben Gurion team published findings that shouldn't even be possible. They detected active, bioavailable vitamin B12 inside Wolffia globosa, the real deal, confirmed by gold standard lab tests like liquid chromatography and mass spectrometry. Plants aren't supposed to make B12. That's a hard rule in biology. Only certain bacteria and archaea do it, which is why vegans usually supplement. Yet this tiny floating speck produces around 2.5 micrograms per 100 grams dried, thanks to symbiotic bacteria living right inside its tissue. Eat the plant, and you get the B12 straight from nature's own factory. NASA took notice fast. Starting in 2021, researchers in Italy ran trials on Wolffia under simulated microgravity, and by 2024, the results were in scientific reports. It keeps pumping out high-quality protein even in space-like conditions. Their math showed just 600 grams of fresh Wolffia per day covers an adult astronaut's full protein needs, complete amino acids and all. Imagine a Mars mission with compact water tanks full of these microscopic plants, recycling waste nutrients, doubling every couple of days under LED lights, producing dense protein indefinitely. No heavy soil shipments, no long grow cycles, no massive hydroponic rigs. This isn't future tech. Wolffia is already part of NASA's bioregenerative life support research because nothing else matches its speed and efficiency. So if it's this perfect for feeding humans off-planet, why isn't it feeding us down here on Earth? The reason Wolffia stayed hidden boils down to one invention that changed everything. In 1909, Fritz Haber figured out how to pull nitrogen from the air and turn it into ammonia. By 1913, Carl Bosch scaled it up for factories. The Haber-Bosch process was born. Before that, farmers relied on manure, crop rotation, legumes, and natural cycles to keep soil fertile. Diversity was built in. Soil had to rest and rebuild. But synthetic nitrogen changed the rules. Suddenly, you could hammer the same crop into dead, depleted ground year after year and still get yields, as long as you kept pouring on chemicals. By the 1950s, synthetic fertilizer use exploded globally. By 2000, humans were fixing more nitrogen artificially than all natural processes on land combined. Today, it's a $200 billion industry that runs on farmers buying bags of NPK every single season. Wolffia globosa doesn't play that game. It needs no soil at all, just still water. It pulls nitrogen, phosphorus, everything it wants straight from the water column, even from polluted runoff or wastewater that the industry treats as a problem. Studies show it can strip out up to 99% of nitrogen and 88% of phosphorus while churning out edible protein, literally turning pollution into food.
Worse for them, Wolffia doesn't reproduce with seeds you have to buy. It clones itself through simple budding. No patents, no annual purchases, no proprietary hybrids. Start with one speck in a bucket, and exponential doubling does the rest. In optimal conditions, the fastest species hits a new generation every 29 hours. One plant becomes billions in weeks, trillions in months. You can't gatekeep it, you can't control it, and you definitely can't sell people fertilizer or seeds for it. This is a protein factory that runs on water, light, and whatever nutrients are already floating around. Completely decentralized, completely free once you have the starter culture. The burial of Wolffia wasn't some dramatic ban. It was quieter, smarter, and far more effective. No laws outlawed it. The system just tilted everything away from it. Research dollars flowed to crops that needed synthetic inputs. Agricultural advisors pushed soybeans and corn, plants that fit perfectly with fertilizer sales. Subsidies rewarded vast monocultures, not backyard water tanks. Extension services trained generations of farmers to see protein as something grown in soil with annual seed buys and chemical boosts. Wolffia never stood a chance in that world. Culturally, it got even worse. In Thailand, Laos, and Myanmar, people have harvested it for centuries, calling it kainam, water eggs, tossing it fresh into stir-fries and soups like it's nothing special. But in the West, it stayed pond scum, something gross that chokes stagnant water, something you'd never dream of eating. Protein, we were taught, comes from steak, chicken, dairy, or at best heavily processed soy, never from a wild floating speck that asks for nothing. In the 1960s, NASA did test related duckweeds for space food, but they picked species loaded with oxalic acid, the kind that can form kidney stones. The trial stalled, and the story spread. NASA tried duckweed and gave up. Almost nobody pointed out they'd tested the wrong genus entirely. Wolffia species don't have that problem. The narrative stuck, and research money dried up for decades. Then things started shifting. In 2018, an Israeli company rebranded a Wolffia strain as Mankai and flooded journals with solid clinical data. Protein quality, B12, bioavailability. By 2021, the European Food Safety Authority approved it as safe food. By 2024, space agriculture papers confirmed its Mars potential. Climate pressures are mounting, arable land is straining, and suddenly the world is hunting for crops that don't need perfect soil or massive inputs. The plant that was too independent to fit the old system is finally getting hard to ignore. The tide is turning. In 2021, the European Food Safety Authority gave Wolffia Globosa the green light as a safe novel food. By 2024, peer-reviewed papers doubled down on its potential for feeding humans in space. With climate chaos hitting traditional crops harder every year, people are finally hunting for solutions that don't demand perfect farmland or endless chemical inputs. The plant that was too free to be profitable is starting to surface. You can act on it right now. Mankai products, freeze-dried Wolffia, are already available online from reputable sellers. Or go straight to the source. Aquarium suppliers and specialty growers sell live Wolffia Globosa cultures cheap. Drop a few dots into a bucket, tub, or old aquarium on your balcony, porch, or windowsill. Give it still water, decent light, and a little nutrient boost from pond water or organic runoff. Watch it double every couple of days. Harvest half whenever it gets thick. Blend the fresh water eggs into smoothies. Toss them in salads for a mild, nutty taste. Stir-fry them like greens or dry them for protein powder. Start with one speck, and in 60 days, under good conditions, you could have more complete B12-rich protein than you'd know what to do with. This is the knowledge they never wanted widespread. The most efficient protein factory on the planet doesn't need their factories, their fertilizers, their patented seeds, or their permission. It just needs water, sunlight, and whatever nutrients are already floating around. Completely decentralized, completely free once you have the starter culture. Every bucket quietly doubling on a rooftop, every pond harvested in a village, every home grower skipping the supplement aisle is a vote for independence from a system built on scarcity and control. Wolffia globosa, the microscopic green dot smaller than a grain of sand, might just be the quietest revolution in food history. It's been floating in plain sight since long before industrial agriculture existed. Now that you see it, the only question left is, what will you do with it? Because every bucket you fill is one less reason to stay dependent. If this opened your eyes to something powerful, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this with someone ready for the truth. Like and comment. What's the first thing you'd grow it for? Another video coming soon.